you've bought some Kill Team box sets and you're looking for a cheap, reliable way to transport your minis to your friendly local gaming store or friend's house to battle it out. In this video we're going to take up 3 ways to do this, none of which are my idea, but I'm making a video, so if there's credit to claim, I'm here to claim it. Before we get started, I just want to give a massive shout out to everyone that has subscribed so far. Thank you so much, it really means a lot. And if you're watching the channel but not yet subscribed and you're enjoying the content, then please consider subscribing now. Welcome to Massive Crit, away we go. Disclaimer, none of the following options we're about to see are in fact carry cases. In order to make them a carry case, we need to put them in a backpack to transport them safely. Unless you have a car, then you can just wing them in there. So how are we to go about creating these cases? I'm going to take you through 3 options with increasing difficulty, the first being the easiest. So here it is. The biscuit tin case, a hobbyist classic enjoyed by all. All you need is a biscuit tin and some magnets, and this one is by far the most enjoyable one to make. Just glue some magnets to the bottom of your bases and stick them to the tin. Tins themselves are pretty sturdy, being able to withstand most knocks and bumps associated with transportation. Allow me to introduce you to Barry. Barry is an unfinished Corsair, so I'm not too worried if he gets damaged, and he's going to help us with a little demonstration. So Barry just has a magnet glued to the underside of his base, and here we have the tin, so we just stick him to the tin, and as we can see, it's pretty sturdy, it's not too bad. And if you just bear with me, let's give it a test. Okay, that's pretty sturdy, not a bad option, this one. So how do we make this one better? Well, it's a bit difficult to make this one better because it is what it is, a tin, but it's up to you how much you spend on the biscuits. But I recommend that you get a rectangular one instead of a circular one like this, because the rectangular one will sit better in the backpack. And not much style points for this one, it's just simply rough and ready to go. Next we have the really useful case. I first saw this on a video by Duncan Rhodes, which I'll link in the description for your fanciful perusal. But in Duncan's video he glues a magnetic sheet to the bottom of a really useful box, and again glues magnets to the bottom of his bases. The very useful box can be found on Amazon. I've gone for a 4-litre one here, and the box itself is perfect for slipping into a rucksack, leaving enough room to pack your counters and other effects. The very useful box itself is designed for storage, so we can stack them on top of each other without worry. How to make this one better? Well, unfortunately the magnetic flux, or the bond between the magnet and the magnetic sheet itself, is not the strongest. So the models may lose their bond when transporting them in a rucksack, which means you'll have to be extra careful whilst travelling on foot to your friendly local gaming store. Again, if you've got a car, you can just put them in there, then it won't be an issue. So taking an idea from one of my mates, Vic, what I propose is to stick the magnets to the box itself and then find magnetic discs to stick on the underside of the bases. Now this makes a much more stronger magnetic flux and also prevents the models from magnetizing in game like this. So, top tip when you're buying your magnetic disc is to actually choose a metal that is magnetic, like iron or nickel or cobalt. I bought these little things from my friendly local gaming store, Blitz Minis, and they're really good and really cheap, but I'm sure you can buy something similar from a DIY store. So steel, or particularly stainless steel, can be too weak of a metal to create a strong magnetic flux. So don't do what I did and buy these little stainless steel stamping tags, because they're absolutely useless. So time for another rigorous, highly scientific experiment. I believe you have been introduced to Barry, the Corsair, but let me introduce you to Larry, the Reaver. And Larry has one of the magnetic circle things on the underside of his base. So what I've done to my really useful box. So I've got the magnetic tape, magnetic sheet on the underside here, but I've just glued a little magnet here to have a little test to see which is stronger. So we'll put Larry there, and we'll put Barry there. And forgive me, let's see what happens. Okay, I think that's fairly conclusive. So as we see, Barry went flying and Larry stayed put. So be as happy as Larry and glue the magnets to the case and the magnetic discs to the base. Finally, we have the display case, and a massive shout out to Vic for showing me the light on this one. Nice one, chap. This one is for the dedicated hobbyist who wants to display their sexy painted minis on a shelf and use the same case for transportation. It's made from a cheap display case from just searching on Google. Styrofoam is used on the bottom of the base with circles cut out to place the minis inside. I placed magnetic disc inside the case and glued the magnets onto the bases for my vet guard because the minis are old metal and have slot bases and I just couldn't be asked to cut the discs down. I then used Citadel Grelin Earth on top of the styrofoam to match what I did to the bases of the models. So I also need to mention that magnets were added to the lid and the base so that we can pick it up by the lid. So the magnets are just inside the corners here of the base, which you can't really see because I've painted over, and just in the corners here of the lid, so we can pick it up like this. It doesn't work with my vet guard because they're metal miniatures, so it's just too heavy for the magnets and doesn't work. But the plastic minis of modern day are fine. So this one's really cool. So how would you make this one better? So in the future, for future cases, I'm going to glue the magnets to the case itself. As we've discovered previously, it's a much better solution. Going forward with new cases, I think that'll be okay because modern miniatures are plastic and really light, so the magnets will be able to hold, so that'll be fine. Secondly, I wouldn't use a Grelin Earth because it's about as brittle as Prince Andrew's defense case in court, so it's more likely going to flake off over time. So in the future, I think I'm going to use some of the Vallejo stuff. But in order to give you some like visual representations of how you can do these display cases better, I've got a few pics lined up of Vic's display cases. So here we have pics of the Sisters of Battle, and they are absolutely hilarious proxies. I absolutely love them. He's done a fantastic job on these. I love the detailed beach with the palm trees and starfish and shells. It looks absolutely crazy. Next we have his Chaos Kill team with the lava base, and this one's absolutely amazing. I really do think it brings the models to life and will look so much more interesting on display. I think he's done such a quality job of this one. Well done, Vic. And finally with his Death Watch, you can see something similar to mine but much better. He has a similar sort of desert vibe but with ruined columns and grass tufts, which is a great way to show how I would improve on mine. He has got a lot more, but that's all we have time for, I'm afraid. So there we have it, 3 cheap homebrew carry cases. I would love to know what you thought in the comments down below, especially regarding the display cases. They're super cool, not cool? Let me know. And if you want a video on how to make one of these display cases, also let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can put one together. And thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, may you always crit best.